Greetings and thank you for dropping by for the latest edition of Mentor Mike's Market Movie. Today is Friday, August the 17th, 2012, and as you can see we're all set up for our replay. But first let's take a review of the charts from earlier this week. Okay, here is Monday the 13th. As you can see, we had the price kind of peaked here in the pre-market and sold off, so we had a transitional move here. There was some divergence between these two peaks and the MACD, which justified our taking the short on the transitional trade. And then subsequently we had a 1, 2, 3 top formation, which allowed us to take the second confirmation of the transition here. And then we had another 1, 2, 3 bottom that got us into this initial move, and then this at this point was just a continuation in that direction. Now when we use the chaos style template, we've got a much quicker, tighter red, white, and blue alignment. So even though this template uses this long-term moving average as our trend definer, we get the red, white, and blue alignments even on some of the corrective trades here, or corrective moves, I should say. So we basically had transition with the trend, transition with the trend, semi-transition, 4 trades all together, and a high, low, high. And then we move on to Tuesday, and we had a very similar kind of thing here. With the trend, transition, this one was solidly with the trend, and so was this. So, very basic stuff here. Wednesday, this was a more challenging day. This is the one we're going to replay later on here. As you can see, we broke the upside here, had all of this choppiness. I went short right here based on the stochastic breaking south of its midline and the MACD being bearish, and then got stuck in some more of this, but eventually it did sell off, and so I came out of it okay. And then we broke to the upside and had one more long trade here. So just 3 trades here, but they were all good ones, and a high, low, high. Thursday, very unidirectional. We had here, this was initially a transitional move right at 4 a.m. based on a 1, 2, 3 bottom. The one is off the chart there. Then we had some diversion. Well, actually, there was another long with the trend trade here that I didn't take. I was doing something at that time in the shower or something. But anyway, we had a divergence here. I forgot to mark it on the stochastic, but that's where it was. You can see we have a higher high on the stoch here, lower high over here. So this was sloping down, and that justified getting short on this down move. And then we had another little 1, 2, 3 bottom, and we took off to the upside. Didn't really have another opportunity to jump on board until this pullback here. And then later on, we had this short trade over here based on divergence and a 1, 2, 3 top. Here's the divergence with the stochastic. Now, this day was interesting. I used a MACD from a 5-minute chart that had its session time set to the day session only. That's why it begins at 6:30 and it ends at 1:15 exactly. More complex than it really needs to be, actually. It was just an experimentation more than anything else. And then here's our day for today. It's a lot like the Wednesday that we're going to replay, but I think Wednesday was a little choppier even. Here you can see we just kind of bounced up and down along the trend-defining moving average. So here we had some bullish divergence right here based on the stochastic. So we got long when we broke to the upside. You can see that we started with the red, white, and blue, even though we were kind of slightly under the trend definer. Here's the MACD turning bullish, and here's our stochastic breaking to the upside. So we caught this nice move. Then we had a 1, 2, 3 top formation, so I went short here. And of course the MACD was getting short, and the stochastic was going south of its 50% level. But as you can see, we didn't get very far. The price did hit our first target, but that was about it. And we had very strong resistance on this trend-defining moving average. So then, when we broke to the upside again, got on board. Again, I don't know if we hit much more than the first target here. Waited out this chop altogether, didn't really see anything going on. And finally, when the stochastic was already above the 50% level and then broke to the upside at the same time we got the bullish cross on the MACD, that's when we got long here. And then we had one more little pop right before the end of the day. So low, high, low. Now, here's an interesting chart. This chart is a 5-minute chart, and it uses only the day session. So the breaks that you see here are at 6:30 a.m. and 1:15 p.m. Pacific time. There's no pre-market, there's no after-market. It's literally only the day session. And this gives you a really good way of seeing the oscillation of those delta turning points, the high, low, high, etc. So here's starting Monday morning. High, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. Now notice that today ended on a high. So that strongly suggests that our first turning point on Monday is going to be a low. So we'll be looking for that next time. Now here's the day that we're going to replay, right here, smack dab in the middle, Wednesday the 15th. And you can see how it's very, kind of a flat, choppy mess here. And Friday looks very similar, as I said earlier. Here's that unidirectional Thursday. Monday and Tuesday had some nice changes of direction here. I love those kind of days because they're very kind of flowing and easygoing, and you get lots of opportunities. These types are the real challenges, and I think Wednesday was even a little more so than today. So this is the one we're going to replay right now, and let's go set the stage. So here we are. We got it all set up. We're paused at 4 a.m. and I've got my usual lines here. Here's the 4 a.m. start. Here's the beginning of the day session, and that's where our chart over here is going to start to move. Right now it has stopped at 1:15 yesterday afternoon, or in this case Tuesday afternoon, and it will start to move again when this chart gets to the start of the day session. This, of course, is the end, and here are our suggested estimated delta turning point times. So notice that on Tuesday we had, well, this high was technically the last turning point from the previous day, Tuesday. So on Wednesday we had a low, high, Tuesday we had a low, high, low, and so this is where we ended up. And so our first turning point today is going to be a high. And as you can see, the MACD is still headed lower. The stochastic is in the lower half of its scale. But notice that it has already turned up. It's already flipped its parabolic. And the stochastic lines are just about ready to break above the red 50% level. So that kind of strongly suggests that about the time that the price gets over here to the start of the day session, we're going to see some kind of break to the upside. So one of the things we want to do is, in this stretch in here from the 4 a.m. to the 6:30, we're going to be looking for this market to start looking like it wants to turn up. And I think the best way to keep an eye on for that is going to be looking for the bullish crossover on our MACD, and that would also mean that our stochastic is going to be breaking above the 50% line. Somewhere between these two lines, we're going to see some kind of break to the upside that's going to really be noticeable, I suspect, by the time the day session begins. So with that on the front burner, let me just also say that, remember, we're in a presidential election year, so all kinds of different reports that would normally just kind of fall by the wayside will now raise the excitement level in the market a little bit. And a lot of reports come out at about 5:30 a.m. Pacific time, so in this area in here. And so we just want to be aware of what's coming out so that whatever we're doing at that time, we're in a position where we're not going to get stung if there's a little spookiness in the market. So with that, let's get started. Now, because I want you to be able to see this other chart, I've had to move my little control panel down here, and I'm sure I'll be kind of all over the map trying to figure out what I'm doing. But let's see. Anyway, time to start the data. And let me pull that back so we can see it. Okay, so we're looking for something that's going to suggest a break to the upside. Our stochastic is getting a little bit above the 50% level, but you can see that our green dashed moving average, our trend defining moving average, is pretty flat and horizontal right now on this 3-minute chart, so no telling what this is going to look like. We touched the 50% level with the Stoch, but now we're coming back down, curving back around. Remember, the other chart won't start to move until we get up to the green line there that marks the beginning of the day session, and then you'll see both charts moving. All right, MACD is about ready to cross. Okay, flipped the parabolic, broke above the 50% level, bullish crossover, blue above white. Both are moving above the red. The price is above the trend-defining moving average, and we're just inches away from flipping the parabolic there. So I think that it will be time to get long. And we'll hide that again so that we can watch our chart. And let's get the arrow ready. And away we go. Okay, notice this little rogue spike there. That happened right at 5:30. I think that was in relation to some report. Consumer Price Index, I think it was this day. Normally that doesn't raise anybody's eyebrows, but in an election year, who knows what can do it. Okay, now we've hit the first target. Stop has moved. We're already trailing it with the parabolic. We're going to be approaching the start of the day session shortly. MACD is staying bullish. Stochastic is staying above 50%. Remember, according to this chart over here, our first turning point, which is projected for 7 o'clock, should be a high. Let's see if it turns out to be. Okay, now our other chart's starting to move, as you can see. Notice that as soon as it did, the stochastic went above the 50% level over there. That's very bullish. Now we've already hit both of our targets over here, so we're looking pretty good. Oh, and we hit all three. Okay, let's pause right there. And we'll draw the arrow to the appropriate length. And notice over here on the day session only chart, we are definitely above the 50% level on the stochastic, and we are very close to a bullish crossover on the MACD. Let me just pause this for 1 second and show you something. I'm going to blow this up to full screen. Now, on this 3-minute chart, here was yesterday's close. So here was that low that we had at the end of the Tuesday day session. And then all this flat sort of nondescript stuff is what happens in the aftermarket. Of course, when it stops being the aftermarket, it starts being the pre-market, is kind of an arbitrary thing. I guess you could say midnight maybe. So right about here is midnight, and so here we are. So from this green line all the way back to this gray dotted line, that's what's not being shown on that other chart. It's just from end of day session to start of next day session without all this no man's land in between. Okay, so oh yeah, we already did that. Okay, our stochastic is getting pretty close to 50% there. And it's turning around like it's going to bounce off of there. And I'm going to keep running just a little bit further because what I want to see is to have the two-tone blue cross the white, or at least get up and touch the white. Right about there. Now, we flip the parabolic. This is curving back around. Blue is above the white. Over here you can see the MACD is still bullish. Price has turned up. Stochastic has turned up. So let's get long again. Set the arrow. And away we go. Well, we went a bit in the hole there, but looks like we're coming back. Now, notice that we got a partial fill when the price hit this first target. We started with 120 contracts there, and now we're down to 88. And we need to stop here. We never moved the stop, and I didn't move it manually, but the parabolic has flipped. So we should end this trade. And as soon as we start to move again, okay, we have flipped parabolic, and our stochastic is going south of the 50% level. The stochastic over here is also headed in that direction, and our MACD is about ready for a crossover, and this parabolic has already flipped. So I think we can go short. Now, this is potentially a transitional move, but we have a 1, 2, 3 top formation. 1 is the high, 2 is the intermediate low, 3 is the subsequent high that does not take out the first, and now we're selling off. So that justifies our taking the transitional move. Plus, we've got clear bearishness on the MACD and now on the stochastic as well. Over on the day session chart, the MACD has completed its crossover, and the stochastic is just about ready to drop into the lower half of the scale. Got some real sideways consolidation going on here. Hopefully we'll get at least down to the support level of the trend-defining moving average. Oof, finally got there. Okay, flip the parabolic here and here, and that means we're heading back in the direction of the trend. We've got a bullish hook on our stochastic over here. Now, if we were marking our highs and lows, we would have our high over here, and it looks like we've just made a low, and over here, same thing. Normally I do this at the end of the day, but we can kind of do it on the fly here. Okay, let's see. And we're going to go along. And let's get started. Okay, at least we hit the first target. And the second target. And stopped out. Okay, now it is 12:30, and we're probably not going to get another trade in. Now, when I'm trading for real, when it gets to be 12:30, I'm pretty much done for the day. But in the replays here, sometimes we'll take something else. But as you can see, we're above a definite bullish trend-defining moving average here. So in order to get back in, we'd have to wait for this to play out on the south side and then turn north again. So I don't think that happens, but let's turn it on, and I'll run it up to 100 times normal speed, and we'll see what happens. Okay, we're touching the long-term MA, but we're not breaking south of it to speak of. We do have some major divergence on our MACD, but there's not enough of a break there to matter. Okay, and that's the end of the day. Now, I think we forgot to mark our very last trade there, didn't we? So, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 trades, 3 longs, 1 short, and what was the final score? 17,525 using 150 contracts and 3 targets. So you get it up to that many contracts, and that's the kind of money you can make in a single day, even on a tough day like this. So we got some help from the day session only chart, and now we ended up with a high this day. But if memory serves, what's going to happen is the market's going to actually, I don't know if it gaps up or if it just moves higher after the open, but this high is going to actually end up being higher still. That happened over here too. Notice on this day, this was Monday and then this was Tuesday. Tuesday, the market ended about here, and so I marked the high at about that level. But then the next day, you can see what happened. The market went up higher, and the high ended up being up here. So be aware of that. It doesn't negate what I said earlier. If the last turning point was a high, the next one will be a low, and vice versa. But just because where you have it marked is a high, let's say, doesn't guarantee that the market's going to start to move lower right on the open. Sometimes that last turning point actually overlaps to the next day, like it did here, and I think this one does too. But in any event, so that's it for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, and I will see you next week. Bye bye for now.